All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got beer review number 3. This one is from Tyranena Brewing Company called Shagger Scotch Ale. Now, some of you may be laughing at the name. Yes, shagging means sexual intercourse. As much as I love bathroom or bedroom or wherever humor, as much as the next person, the term shagging in this case means something different. It refers to the act of shaving or retrieving, sometimes of hair or specifically wool in the case of sheep. Now, with all of that childish giggling out of the way, let's move to the actual review. Here we go. So, I don't have an actual, Scotch glass, so I'm using this, for Leffe Belgian glass. Anything that basically allows you to, any glass with a curve on it that allows the aromas to kind of like work their way up and kind of into your nose. That's usually kind of what you ideally want for a Scotch ale. So while this isn't optimal, still very respectful. So we get a nice like golden color. Not much head, maybe like a quarter inch. And it looks like it's kind of disappearing. The bubbles, the carbonation, it's kind of sticking to the glass a little bit. Right in there. Ooh, got a bunch of like sweet malt, some toffee, and a little bit of caramel. And it's a little darker ale, as scotches tend to be. This is more like a real dark, kind of slightly reddish amber, and it's going to be that way from the malts. It's going to darken this beer up. It's a nice kind of thick body, very malty, and it's got a sweet kind of like, as with the nose, it's got that sweet toffee and kind of caramel in there, but really finishes off strong with sweet malt at the end. I think it's definitely still like a fairly, easy drinking beer. It's not a pushover though, but it is easy drinking. Some Scotch ales can be a little too sweet, but this is pleasantly so. Now, I do have a bias towards Scotch ales, so I'm going to try to not ruin this beer rating. I like my Scotch ales. I would give this like a solid, I'd say 6.5 out of 10, and would highly recommend buying this if you want an introduction to Scotch style ales. Even though I rated it a 6.5 out of 10, I would still recommend getting it. Do not confuse these with wee heavies. They are a bit different. There's some little, I'll go into that, at some other point, but just remember, Scotch ales and wee heavies, not entirely the same thing. Now, I'm going to read off a little blurb that's on the side of the bottle here. I know you can't see it, so that's why I'm going to read it off. So, Colonel Carmichael, an educated and accomplished Scotchman, settled in Lake Mills in 1844. He selected a location at the head of Rock Lake, which he stocked quite largely with sheep, intending to make a sheep farm of the place. He had 500 sheep driven in from Ohio, and shepherds with their dogs and crooks come clear from Scotland. We can picture it now. The colonel relaxing on the back porch with a sheep shagger Scotch ale in hand, looking onto his fields and watching his shepherds shagging sheep for shearing. Shagging means retrieving. What were you thinking? Even the bottle says that. They recognized it, and they said that. So to get into kind of what this all means, a little bit of history of like the Lake Mills area and stuff like that. Basically, there's a legend that tells of a native tribe that builds stone structures on the edge of Rock Lake. These stone pyramids existed before the water levels rose to what they are now. They are located about 3 miles from Rock Lake and Aztalan State Park here in Wisconsin. Historians believe that these structures belonged to the Mississippian culture and was an outpost to the Native American settlement of Cahokia, I believe that's how you pronounce it, near modern-day Chicago. No one is sure exactly what purpose these structures serve. Well, fast forward to 1839, and we get a man by the name of Captain Joseph Keyes. He gave the town its name of Lake Mills due to two different mills operating around Rock Lake. The city was first founded in 1836 off the east shore of Rock Lake. For a brief moment in 1866, the town changed its name to Tyranena, which meant sparkling water. This name only lasted for roughly a year, and then the town reverted to its original name, Lake Mills. For those of you not familiar with the area, Lake Mills is located just off of I-94 between Milwaukee and Madison. More kind of west towards Madison, though. Tyranena Brewing Company, much like any other business in the Lake Mills area, used this legend and history for their name. This brewery was founded in the year 1998, began brewing beer on October 21st, 1999, and opened their tap room on November 12th, 1999. In relative terms, they're still fairly new, but have a working and established model. Their facilities have a brewing capacity of 45,000 barrels. In addition to their normal tap list and seasonal rotations, Tyranena, I pronounce that wrong all the time, has a Brewers Gone Wild series. These beers are either limited edition or seasonals. Basically, the brewers there get a little crazy and come up with some unique formulas or add a couple of, add a little extra ingredients, couple of extra ingredients to existing ones, and age some of them in barrels. They even have a couple of variations of this guy. One is Shaggin' in the Woods, which is a beer aged in bourbon barrels, and the other one is Shaggin' in the Highlands, which is the Sheep Shagger aged in Scotch barrels. It gives, in both cases, it gives this beer a unique flavor, kind of absorbing the flavors of the bourbon or the Scotch barrels respectively. And that kind of gives me an idea. I should do a video on barrel-aged beers, but, that's for another time. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. Please like and subscribe to this channel to help support us and bring more quality content. Comment or message us on any recommendations you have for us or topics you'd like us to cover. Head on over to twitter.com and follow us at The Beer Bastards to keep in the know of all of our going-ons. Send us a friend request on untappd.com as Beer Bastards. That way you can keep track of all the beers we've featured and reviewed and so on and so forth. And remember, stay thirsty, bastards.